Hello and welcome back to the AOR F1 Championship. It's the third round of this 13th season and we're in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. My name is Justin and joining me once again for all the action, it's AliK.
I am indeed, and what a race we had last time out in Bahrain. Racing right into the final corners, having a drag race up to the line, so hopefully we'll see more of the same at this track. The Shanghai International Circuit is a bit of a Marmite track, you either love it or you hate it. Personally, it's not one of my favourites. The infamous snail section of turn 1 and 2 that seems to go on forever is not one of my favourite corners on the calendar, but a couple of drivers do like it, funnily enough, so we'll see how everyone tackles it today.
Yeah, personally 7 and 8 are my jam. That's where I really like the circuit, is in sector 2. But last time out it was Martin who took the win by a mere 0.06 of a second ahead of season 12 champion the Flying Finn, who managed to nearly win the race despite suffering a puncture early on. Cupid claimed the final podium position while Suphrize couldn't convert his pole into a visit to the rostrum and finished P6 in the end. In the championship, the Flying Finn is in the lead with 43 points after a win and a second place, while Martin is just 3 points behind after third in Australia and the W in Bahrain. A further 16 points back to Jason97 F1, who finds himself in third in the championship after a great start to his season. That's how things look in AOR after just 2 races, but let's now turn our focus toward the race ahead, starting with the side-by-side comparison and full qualifying report.
Round 3 of the season sees us at China for a qualifying comparison between the two Mercedes drivers of the Flying Finn and TSR Cupid. So both drivers coming down the start-finish straight, coming up towards turn 1 and flicking it into turn 1 just after that 50 metre board. Cupid hitting that apex a bit better than Finn there, and both drivers letting it roll through turn 1 and into turn 2. Flicking it over to the left for turn 3, Cupid with a slight front left lock up there, and both drivers fighting the oversteer on the exit, trying to get the best traction possible. And coming up to the end of the first sector and into turn 6, braking late just after the 100 metre board, both drivers flicking it down to first gear, and you can see on the apex Finn has a slight advantage over Cupid. And coming up to start this middle sector now, nothing to choose between these two drivers, keeping it out wide. Can they keep it flat? No, they can't. A slight little lift there, and late apex in this corner in 4th gear. Both drivers choosing 2nd gear for this one to grab the car over to the left of that double left, fighting the traction on the exit as well. And coming up to this very important traction zone, both drivers braking just after the 100 metre board there, Finn getting a bit more onto the apex, Cupid going a bit deep, but it's been slightly ahead of Finn at that point. But it's so important now to get a really solid exit down this super long back straight, one of the longest in F1. And at the moment it looks like there's very little to choose between the two drivers coming up to the DRS zone, and they're just going to be preparing themselves for this really crucial braking zone into the hairpin. So they're looking to brake just after the 150 metre board, and Cupid clips that apex much better than Finn, and Finn's gone a bit deep there, so that could cost him this pole position. And coming up to the final corner here, both drivers are going to be looking to take it in 4th gear, clipping that apex, running wide onto the curb and coming across the line, and that is the difference between Finn and Cupid. Front row lockout for Mercedes there, just less than a 10th difference between the two.
So taking a look at the grid for the Chinese Grand Prix, and just like in Australia it is a Mercedes 1-2, but this time it is the Flying Finn who takes pole position, less than a 10th ahead of his teammate TSR Cupid in 2nd place. Then in 3rd we've got Killer Whale with a very strong qualifying performance up in P3, and the same thing can be said about Suphrize Meh up in P4 in that Sauber. Then it's a slightly disappointing P5 for TRL Martin, and AOR Reversal completes an all Red Bull 3rd row. AOR Icon is up in 7th with another strong performance, and Stu in his first race back as a full-time driver in the league is up in 8th place. Lucky Dog 2000 now is the first of the soft runners, again with an impressive performance up in P9, just ahead of Jason97 F1, who will line up in 10th. Danny M7 has got a very promising position for the race, starting in at P11. Then it's 6 Skills in 12th with TRL Limitless, again a long way down the order, down in P13, with WCR Kubica, RS Vulcan, STS F1 Alonso, Franglish, TRL Williams and CR63 the last of the people to set a time. And then Burnout F1 and CRL Hamilton will round out the 21-man grid for the Chinese Grand Prix after failing to set a time in qualifying. Only one DNS in this race, it was VBR Street, the poleman from Bahrain, but now it is time for the Chinese Grand Prix.
Welcome to a very cloudy Shanghai International Circuit where 21 drivers will be lining up for the Season 13 Chinese Grand Prix. And with just a 3-point gap in the championship and 13 races still to run this season, anything could happen at this fast and flowing circuit, which has been the site of numerous fantastic races in the league's history. There's a 0% chance of rain despite the ominous clouds in the sky, and it's an all-Mercedes front row. What chance do you think Martin has from P5, Ali?
Well, the Mercedes boys look absolutely imperious in qualifying, half a second ahead of third place, which is just absolutely insane when you consider how close these guys have been at other tracks. But Martin, you've got to rate his chances, really. He's one of the most experienced drivers in the league, and if you remember all the way back to Australia, which seems like a very long time ago already now, he started way down the order in 15th place and still managed to come through to finish third. So it is far too early to discount him from potentially even winning this race.
Yeah, and it's not exactly a difficult circuit to overtake at with that very long straight into the turn 14 hairpin, which the drivers are just making their way out of now on the formation lap here. So I'm expecting lots of overtakes, possibly at other locations as well. Could see some overtakes into turn 1, the turn 6 hairpin as well. We've seen some overtakes into there before in the past. So certainly he'll have plenty of opportunities. But yeah, with the lack of rain, that does mean strategy is going to be ever important, as Jason97 F1, as I mentioned earlier, third in the standings right now, only 10th on the grid for this race. So unfortunate for the Renault driver on this particular occasion. Of course, he won't have free choice of tire compound either, starting from that 10th place position on board with the 5th place TRL Martin on board, and now switching over to TSR Cupid. The Mercedes on the front row alongside the Flying Finn as the lights go out and the cars are away, and it's a good start for TSR Cupid. He's going to have that inside line on the Flying Finn into turn 1. Suphrize Meh as well, going up the inside of the Killer Whale, who appears to have gone quite wide there into turn number 2, now on board with Raikkonen as he's just pushing Martin a little bit. In reversal, his teammate is actually going to go around the outside of turn number 3 on Martin, take that 5th place position. Raikkonen and Stu getting very close together as well. Lucky Dog with a bit of a wiggle coming out of that turn 4. TRL Limitless grabs a position thanks to that. TRL Martin, though, going to try and get that 5th place position back off of his teammate at the start of this lap here, getting very congested at the back there. But it looks like Reversal is going to have to settle in for 6th position. Raikkonen now trying up the inside on Stu at turn number 7. No, couldn't quite make it. And Limitless now having a look at his own teammate. Oh, gosh! And a huge collision for CR63, and I think Hamilton involved in that. Burnout F1, the Ferrari driver as well. I was looking at some other stuff, but wow, that's a big accident, Ali.
And looks like we're going to have another crash here as we have, I think that was Raikkonen running into the back of Stu, but the two Renaults has been a very good start for TRL Limitless after starting well down the order. He is looking in a very strong position going forward, already up into P9, P8 now. What a move that is from TRL Limitless. And now Raikkonen, I believe he's still going side by side with, is that Lucky Dog? And now this is TRL Martin trying to get up into P4, around the outside at the hairpin. Killer Whale defending the inside. He had such an impressive qualifying, but Martin has pulled an unbelievable move around the outside of the hairpin. So the two TRL boys making some incredible overtakes as we got WCR Kubica being thumped by a Toro Rosso on the exit, and he's dropping down into 17th place. But it's this man, TSR Cupid, in the lead of the race, and already has a sizable gap to the Flying Finn in second.
Wow, that is very impressive. Start of lap number 2, and yeah, Cupid, as you mentioned, with a big gap. Stu goes for a spin after a bit of contact with AOR Reversal. The Renaults are once again side by side. Jason on the inside, Limitless on the outside. Danny M7 comes under attack from AOR Raikkonen at the inside of turn number 3. He's going to try the switchback now. Limitless tucks into the slipstream of his teammate. Jason defends the inside line into the turn 6 hairpin. Limitless going to try and do it around the outside if he can. Danny M7 again side by side with AOR Raikkonen as they come out of that hairpin. The Renault's still side by side. Limitless now with the inside line, and Jason97 F1 is going to have to concede that position. Not good trying to go around the outside at turn 7. That's never going to be that easy. But Danny M7 still going side by side with AOR Raikkonen up the inside at turn number 9. Looks like he's just about got the measure of him, and crucially on those medium compound tires. So that is a fantastic start for Danny M7. He started from P11, so he was the first of the drivers. Oh, and more contact there. Lucky Dog and Raikkonen, I believe, coming to blows. There goes STS F1 Alonso spinning off the corner as well, and WCR Kubica just about managing to get through, scythe his way through all of that carbon fiber, and TRL Martin wants that podium position now at the end of lap 2. You were absolutely right about this, Ali. Look at the charge we're seeing from TRL Martin here.
Martin is flying already up into third place. That is a very strong start from the Red Bull man. Now he's got a sight set on the Mercedes, and RS Falcon has gone flying into the hairpin, and now he is a long way off the track, and he's picked up front wing damage. What on earth went on there? He just totally missed his braking point and almost collected a couple of cars. Now it's a 2-Force India Stu, and also 6 Skills. They're not going to go 3 wide into turn 1 as 6 Skills trying to defend the inside. Stu trying to carry it around the outside. Kubica just sitting back, letting these two battle it out in front of him, and now it's Limitless already on the back of Reversal. He's caught him incredibly fast. Just shows how fast these super soft tyres are going off. Reversal defending the inside into turn 6. Limitless trying to hang it around the outside. Surely he can't pull that one off as well. Jason just taking a watching brief from behind, but Limitless and Reversal side by side through the middle sector, and Limitless has moved up another position. He is really benefiting from those fresh tyres he had from starting outside the top 10, and he is looking in a very strong position in this race. He has the best tyres of pretty much anyone in the top 6 right now, so he could be, well, potentially challenging even for the win later on in this race. And look at Cupid's tyres. He had poor tyre wear in Bahrain, and these super softs are really giving up. They're already on 65%, and Cupid is going to make a pit stop on lap 3. That is how quickly these tyres have gone off. Jason now trying to follow his teammate through on Reversal. He's going to have DRS, and I believe this should be a fairly simple pass on what is the longest straight in F1, and Reversal's got front wing damage from something. I'm not entirely sure where he picked that up, but they're side by side into the hairpin. Jason down the inside of Reversal. There's a laggy Sauber in front of them, and Limitless is already closing up to those guys. There's Reversal and Jason trying to go side by side. No, Reversal comes into the pits. He needs that new front wing, but now it's Martin versus the Flying Fin into turn 1. Martin on the inside. The Flying Fin backs out of it, trying to get a cutback possibly, but you can see his tyres are absolutely spent as well, and Martin into the lead of the race.
Unbelievable racing we're seeing, particularly from Limitless. I mean, that was unbelievable stuff around the outside of that turn 6 hairpin. Oh, and there goes Suphrize Meh out of the session. That means the AI is going to take control of his car. He's going to lose positions hand over fist as drivers are able to just drive straight through his ghosted car. So that's going to really take him out of the running, unfortunately for him. TRL Martin, though, takes the lead of the race. I'm so busy talking about Limitless, I didn't even think to talk about Martin. And he's pulled a significant gap on the Flying Fin as well. 71% on the rear left for our reigning champion as well. And Limitless now onto the back of Killer Whale. Unbelievably, Killer Whale started way up the grid. He was in 3rd position, Limitless in 13th. These two guys started 10 positions apart from each other, and here they are now into the 3rd sector of lap number 4, and Limitless clearly has the measure of him, not only with the harder compound tires, so more durable, more life, but also they were fresh at the start of the race, where of course Killer Whale's super softs are really beginning to feel the age. Limitless gets the DRS there because of course the detection line is back before turn 13. Oh my gosh, the unbelievable toe from Jason 97 F1 though is actually going to move him up into 4th position. He gets the inside line on his teammate, gives him a little bit of a squeeze at the exit there, but I think that's all fair between the teammates. And now Jason 97 F1 up into a podium position, and now that's not good right there. Oh, Killer Whales pulled the Hamilton and gone into the gravel, and I don't think this is good for the Renaults here. Ali, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but both of them are still out. They are on the softer compound tires, but I'm wondering if they're going to be in danger of coming into the pits at the same time.
Yes, that is a possibility. You got to remember, Jason is still on his Qualy set of tyres, so that Limitless is still on the better tyres at this point, so maybe he's going to be the one that goes a lap longer, but that battle could be crucial for deciding who comes into the pits first and who is on the optimal strategy as Killer Whale comes out the pits, and Suphrize Meh is back in the session, and that is Reversal. He's going to try it round the outside at turn 1, is he? It looks like he is just too far back, as pretty much all of these guys have fitted the medium compound tyres, and we expect everyone who started on the super soft pretty much to be taking 2 sets of mediums until the end of the race. So I think that just shows how bad the tyre wear is. Martin's pulled a sizable gap to the Flying Fin, and Cupid is again a long way down the road, but here we go with a replay of the start. On board with the pole man, the Flying Fin 08. Into turn 1, he gets a fairly solid start, but it looks like Cupid's just that little bit better off the line, a little bit better reactions, getting better traction, and the Flying Fin is very generous, leaving a lot of space for his teammate. Trying to go all the way around the outside at turn 2, but Cupid just has the tighter line, and that allows him to easily pretty much take the position into turn 1. This is RS Falcon. There are cars everywhere coming into turn 2. He has absolutely nowhere to go. Talk about boxed in, and he's just been boxed round there by the looks of things, hitting into the side of a McLaren, I think that was, and then the contact model on this game being particularly unforgiving, sends him round into a spin. This is TRL Williams going off-roading, and then he gets collected by a spinning Falcon, and that drops him a long way down the order as well. This is what happened with Burnout F1. Again, like 4 cars coming into one in the middle sector, but that was nothing he could have done about that, or anyone else for that matter. Just a very unfortunate lag incident. And then this is the Sauber of CR63 again. We saw that on board from his point of view live, just being an unfortunate bystander, and there is absolutely nothing he could have done there. This is the manner of Franglish. This is what happened into the final sector on lap 1. So a few too many cars trying to go into the hairpin together, and this is turn 14 on lap 1 down to the bottom end of the points. This is Danny trying to go around the outside of Lucky Dog, and he pulls that off very nicely on the medium tyres. And then this is Limitless on lap 2, narrowly avoiding Stu. Talk about good reactions. And then Jason capitalising on that to just sneak around the outside. A very cheeky move from the Renault driver. This is lap 6 Cupid getting all aggressive with Lucky Dog 2000. Now he's really got to make up these positions, not lose any time in the traffic. And what a hectic start that has been.
Unbelievably late braking there from Cupid. Incredible stuff. But I mean, that's the type of thing he needs to be doing, especially for stopping at the end of lap number 3. And as you mentioned, everybody going on to the mediums. Clearly, lots of lessons learned from Bahrain, where we saw an incredible amount of tire punctures. And I think Cupid was one of the people that learned the most from that race. And came into the pits nice and early at the end of lap 3, just trying to avoid that. So again, the Renaults lead the race as it stands right now. Limitless, though, with the fresher tires in comparison to JC97 F1. It almost seemed like Jason was prepared to let Limitless take it, and there it goes again. Another incredibly late braking move by Cupid into the turn 6 hairpin. Just carbon copy of what we saw on the previous lap. And he just moves up another position, just scything his way through the cars on older tires. And now Martin onto the back of Lucky Dog 2000 now, and in the sister Toro Rosso, gets a little bit wide there, gets sucked out, but it looks like the Toro Rosso is going to let him through relatively easily. So Martin able to continue on down the road, and now with a Toro Rosso positioned between himself and the Flying Finn. JC97 F1 now down into second position, so Limitless actually gained the lead of this race, but now Jason with that DRS is of course going to regain the lead as they head into the turn 14 hairpin. And CRL Hamilton is the car behind, and I believe he is the car, and he's going to have to watch those track limits. That's already at least one warning for Jason. And is he going to be coming into the pits? Yes, he does. Limitless, though, gave him a lot of room, and that's going to put him on the back foot. CRL Hamilton in the McLaren takes the lead of the race, very temporarily, of course, but he is going to take the lead of the race. Kubica as well into the pits is going to be right on the ragged edge of that gravel as he comes into the pits very aggressively. Limitless is going to drop down, fits a set of the mediums, and let's see if we can see where he's going to feed out. It is definitely going to be behind the Flying Finn, who's making his way into turn 1 now. There we go. Looks like Killer Whale is now the car behind on Limitless, but he's got a beautiful gap here, Ali.
He's on pretty much the perfect strategy around here. I mean, I assume that he's going to be running another set of softs potentially at the end of the race, because the distance he's taken those softs into the race, and he's gone onto a set of mediums as well, so possibly aiming for a soft stint at the end. And now this is the Flying Finn trying to do a HCR Cupid and go around the outside at turn 6, and he's pulled that off very nicely, and Lucky Dog doesn't provide much opposition. I think he realises he isn't really in a race with these guys. But now AOR Raikkonen, he picked up front wing damage early on. He's going for a lunge on Kubica into turn 6. He's very aggressively forced to force India off track. That was an interesting move from Raikkonen, unorthodox, but it paid off. So we'll let him off there. Hard but fair, I think, is the way to describe that one, as Kubica is taking an alternate line through the middle sector. He's getting very close to Raikkonen. And then this is Lucky Dog once again, still running within the points. Oh, he's got a puncture. We saw so many of these in Bahrain, and it looks like the curse of the punctures has struck again. This time it is Lucky Dog who is the victim. And TSR Cupid now making a move on 6 Skills, who's very early on the brakes, or Cupid was very late, either one. And now Jason, a lap later than his teammate, is coming into the pit. So how has the undercut worked for TRL Limitless? This is going to be crucial for the two Renaults in this race. Which one is going to come out in front?
Yep, and Kubica now coming back at Raikkonen after the Williams car was able to get by earlier. Oh, that's right, Lucky Dog with that puncture. I completely forgot why he was going so slow there, and I imagine that was a bit of a terrifying moment for both of the drivers as they were coming down at 200 miles an hour, in excess of 200 miles an hour. I'm not entirely sure, and I didn't see exactly what speed they were at, but that was probably terrifying with that slow-moving Toro Rosso in the middle of the circuit. And TRL Limitless, though, not that far off the Flying Fin, incredibly enough. So, oh no! And that's a big moment, and I believe I've just commentators cursed TRL Limitless as he's getting on the throttle, coming out of turn number 4, gets a bit onto the curbing, slams into the barrier on the left-hand side of the circuit, loses the front left wheel entirely from the car, and that is game over for TRL Limitless already here at the Chinese Grand Prix. Very disappointing, because an incredible drive. I mean, he was really putting on a show for us. Some of the overtakes that we were seeing from him. Actually, go ahead and talk us through this, AliK.
So on the exit of turn 2 and 3, gets a little kick of oversteer, runs it slightly too wide on the curb, and then he is just essentially launched into the wall. You cannot use that curb. It really affects the traction, and that is another setback in this championship for TRL Limitless. He didn't have a strong race in Bahrain. He had a pretty good race in Australia, finishing second from, again, a long way down the grid, but it just hasn't worked out for him today. It looks so promising. I possibly could have bet on him to win that race. On the strategy he was on, the way it was looking for him, it was looking very, very strong, but again, nothing has gone for TRL Limitless. And I know it's early to say, but that could potentially be his championship hopes over already without scoring in 2 races, which is a major setback. If he manages to come back from that one, that will be a major success. But now, the sole runner left in the race, Jason97 F1, is coming under attack from Killer Whale, the man who had such an impressive qualifying, up in 3rd place in that Haas car. He's looking fairly strong in the race as well. He's on a different compound of tyre to Jason, who's gone for the softs again, so he's gone double soft in the first 2 stints of this race. And then this is AOR Raikkonen and Kubica, and their battle has been joined by 6 Skills, who comes out just ahead of both of them, and Raikkonen's going very wide into turn 1, but he's managed to sort that one out nicely. He's getting close to the back of the Force India as well. And then this is RS Falcon and CR63. The 2 men who were caught up on lap 1 even are almost caught up again on lap 10 as they get very close to each other through turns 1 and 2. And Falcon's tyres already going off, so that is not a good sign for RS Falcon going onto this race. But you can see on the mini-map, the 2 Mercedes cars are a sizable way in front of the rest of the field, as these 2 are still battling into turn 6, but that was a kind of half-hearted move from the Manor, and the Sauber was able to carry on there. And this is RS Falcon on lap 7, getting all out of shape, and what a save that is from the Manor driver. How has he kept that one in a straight line? And then this is what allowed CR63 to get down the inside into turn 1, and it almost ended very badly for them, with varying degrees of apex speed being carried by the 2 drivers, and it almost ended very badly. And then into turn 14, the battle continues between these 2. Falcon down the inside of the Sauber, and it looks like he's got it done, has he? But into the final corner, surely they can't go side by side through here, and the Sauber quite sensibly backs out of that one, but battling all throughout the field here.
Yeah, incredible stuff we're seeing as Kubica now makes light work of 6 Skills down the DRS straight and into the braking zone for turn 14. He is going to run a little bit wide there. That could give the Toro Rosso a run at him at the exit of the corner, but no, it doesn't look like he's got the traction to mount an attack back through. But he will get the DRS here, as will AOR Raikkonen, who is sitting behind on those medium compound tires in the Williams, and he does indeed pick up the DRS. 6 Skills moves to the right-hand side, mounts an attack on Kubica into turn number 1. Kubica very, very generous, leaving him lots of room, trying to go around the outside. The Toro Rosso, though, definitely has the measure of him. He's going to take that P12, and now Kubica coming under attack from Raikkonen, tries a little bit of a switchback maneuver. Can he get on the throttle there? It's a bit dirtier over there, not as much rubber down on the circuit, and couldn't quite get alongside. Burnout F1 now is making a trip to the pits, or already made his trip to the pits. Looks like he's fitted a set of the mediums at the end of lap number 9. Killer Whale trying to keep up with Jason97 F1, who again was one of the few people to go for the softs. Him and 6 Skills look like the only people that have really gone for the softs in the pit stops, and Jason possibly losing a bit of tire wear here. He pitted at the end of lap 8, I believe. So he's only a couple laps in, and there we go. There's the compound difference that I was looking for, as Jason pulls an enormous gap on the Haas as they come onto that very long straight. But he did give him DRS. He's not going to give him much of a slipstream, though, as the other Haas is actually in the lead of the race. Danny M7 comes into the pits on his set of mediums. Looks like he's going to be going onto a set of the softs here. So we'll see how far back that drops him. I assume Killer Whale is going to move ahead of his teammate as a result of that one. Oh, he almost pulls the Limitless there, gets a bit heavy on the curbs, different curbs that time, but Yeah, it gets a bit heavy onto those curbs at the exit of that final corner. It's so easy. It's such a tricky and deceptive final corner, Ali.
Yeah, it's incredibly easy to run wide, and that curb, as we've seen a number of times, is very, very unforgiving. But now this never-ending battle for P13 reignites once again into turn 1. Kubica on the inside of AOR Raikkonen, who somehow managed to hold that round the outside at turn 1. Surely he can't go all the way around the outside through the snail section. He's got the inside for turn 2, and that is some unbelievable defending from the Williams driver. Unfortunately, it is not for any points at this stage, but that is some very nice racing between these two. A lot of respect between the two of them into turn 6. Kubica slightly later on the brakes, but Raikkonen holds the inside very nicely. And we saw in Brazil last season, he can defend this guy, and he's showing it once again today. A very impressive performance on track, but unfortunately it hasn't quite worked out for him with what's gone on in the race, picking up that front wing damage early on. And then RS Falcon making another trip to the pits. We've seen him destroy his tyres a couple of times last season, and it appears to be a similar story this time, as he is the last of 19 runners still left in this Grand Prix, pulling to the outside of Lucky Dog for turn 6. Can he get that one done? He's on the fresher tyres, I believe, so this should be a fairly simple move for the Manor driver, and it appears he has managed to pull that one off as Limitless quits the session. Obviously, he's got nothing to stay in here for anymore after his race is over. But again, the battle for P13 is still going on. Kubica versus AOR Raikkonen, and this time it's a relatively simple pass for Kubica. With the slipstream, with the DRS, nothing the Williams driver could have done there.
And fresher tires too, I believe, as Raikkonen demonstrates that fact perfectly at the exit of that turn 14 hairpin there, as he gets a bunch of wheel spin, a boatload of wheel spin there. Danny M7 again, who is on brand new softs, makes light work of CRL Hamilton, or so I thought. Hamilton's just about hanging in there. I imagine Danny M7 going to try a switch back now. No, Hamilton covers off the apex very nicely. TRL Williams actually in the background looking to mount an attack as well on these two guys. So Danny, with these very soft tires, is getting held up by the McLaren on the mediums. Hamilton came in on lap 8, so yeah, Hamilton is on older and slower tires by comparison to the Haas driver. And here's a replay of the end of lap 9 for Burnout F1. Yeah, and he did the same thing, got onto that curbing at the exit of the final corner, and nearly needed a change of underpants, or he may have needed a change of underpants. But Franglish tries to take advantage, goes up the inside of turn number 1 at the start of lap 10. The Ferrari runs pretty darn wide there, and the Manor just slides right on through up the inside. Nice, easy move for him. As I mentioned before, TRL Williams now getting involved with this battle for P8. Going to go side by side up the inside of the turn 14 hairpin on Danny M7. Danny opts for the switchback, does get a really good exit out of the corner. He is on the back foot, though, around the outside. If he can do it, though, oh gosh, and he's run very, very wide. That's definitely going to slow him down, and that's going to allow the Ferrari back through. That was actually a replay, so Danny M7 now on lap number 14. Can he, oh man, same situation actually. The Haas around the outside, the Williams on the inside, and around the hairpin they go. But it's been a great race, you have to say, for the Haas driver, Danny M7. He's only made one stop at the pits so far after starting on those medium compound tires. And wow, with that DRS assistance out of that final corner, was able to easily regain that P9 off the Ferrari. Raikkonen now in for his second stop. He stopped on lap number 3, so only doing an 11-lap stint on the mediums, and he's got 14 laps still to go. So that's going to be a bit of a difficult one for him if he wants to try and do 14 laps on the mediums, and was struggling that much just to do 11 laps on the medium. So I'm not sure if he's going to be stopping again. I'm not sure if anybody is planning on stopping 3 times, but certainly that's a lot of laps to do on a set of mediums. So back up at the front, though, or at least in the battle for P2, Martin's still leading the Flying Finn. So, and actually, if they were to finish like this, Ali, they'd be tied on points.
Which would be a fairly incredible result for 3 rounds into the championship. But Cupid, you can see, is a fair old way down the road. He's worked the undercut very strongly early on in this race, and it looks like the gap is fairly sizable already, and he has a car between himself and his teammate, which could prove absolutely crucial. The gap between Martin and Cupid is 5 or 6 seconds, so that's a pretty big gap. That's not something you can close in a lap or something. That is, you've got to have consistently better pace, or a mistake from Cupid, or even a pit stop from Cupid as he comes into the pits at the end of lap 15, followed in by TRL Martin, and the Flying Finn is left out on his own to push in clear air. Now it's going to be a fight of the undercut versus the overcut, and I have a sneaky feeling that the undercut is going to be the fastest strategy. Is Killer Whale is getting very close to the wall on the inside, but what kind of pit stop can Red Bull produce for TRL Martin? It is a pretty slow one actually, 2.7, but Mercedes are even slower with 2.9 for Cupid. Where is he going to come out? He's going to come out just ahead of Danny, is he? He has still got 2 cars ahead of him, so those could pose him a few issues in the next few laps. He needs to clear these cars quickly if he wants to make this undercut work. Otherwise, the Flying Finn could really hit the jackpot here. Obviously, he has clear air, so we'll have to see how this works out.
He does have clear air, but he does also have 12-lap-old medium, so I'm not sure how quick he can be, but certainly it really depends on the traffic and what's going on with that. So Jason97 again on his second set of soft tires, I believe, is at the end or coming towards the end of lap number 16, so possibly going to be making his final stop for the mediums relatively soon here. Not sure what his tire life is like at the moment, but he's not exactly setting the world on fire with those split times, so we could be seeing the Renault coming into the pits relatively soon here. TSR Cupid really does not want to get held up by Reversal and Hamilton, who are currently embroiled in a battle for P4 just outside the podium positions, and the Mercedes gets a great run, as you would expect, with those brand new medium compound tires out of turn number 13. He's going to get an almighty toe off of the McLaren. Hamilton lagging a little bit there. He's not going to have a toe now from Reversal. He is actually going to sneak in just for an extra second or two, and man, clears both cars down the DRS straight, showing the power of that Mercedes. Takes that 4th place position. His teammate, the Flying Finn, into the pits at the end of lap number 17. He'll have an 11-lap stint to do on this set of medium compound tires. So he's actually gone long on his second stint, and he'll be shorter on the final stint. So we could see a push here right at the end of the race from the Flying Finn. Jason now, as I mentioned, into the pits at the end of lap 16. He's going to do a 12-lap stint on the medium compound tires. I have to say, I really like Jason's strategy that he's gone with for this race. The Flying Finn, though, does come out behind Martin, so that's going to be unfortunate for him. And Suphrize is going to come out in P9 just ahead of Killer Whale, but both of those guys in the points as it stands right now, and possibly still with cars to pit.
Unsurprisingly, we did see TSR Cupid maintain a very healthy lead through those pit stops. That double overtake on the back straight has really helped him out, and it looks like he still has a sizable gap to Martin, who had worked the undercut very nicely. It appears he had clear air on his lap, and that allowed him to just push flat out, and he has a pretty big gap to the Flying Finn. So that is the battle for second, as Burnout is now off-roading out of turn 3, I believe that is, and now he's going to be passed by RS Falcon. Burnout has gone back down the inside though into turn 6, using first gear just to get that little bit of extra turn and short shifting all the way up into 4th gear, trying to go round the outside through this fast left-hander. That is not going to work, mate, and it appears... Oh, no, it has worked. Wow, Burnout. Oh, no, it hasn't worked. No. Driving into RS Falcon in the next part of the corner, and that is so unfortunate for Burnout. Obviously, he had such an incredible race in Bahrain, doing an incredible strategy and finishing up in P5, but it looked like he was just a little bit too eager to prove me wrong through that middle sector, and Jason now up into P6. So, a strong drive from Jason, putting a decent points haul for Renault in this race, now the sole Renault left after TRL Williams so dramatically departed as earlier on, but now surprised me moving up into P7, so it could be a solid points haul for Sauber as well, after just teammate CR63 was involved in that lag incident early on. Danny M7 is now in for his final stop, fitting a set of mediums which should take him to the end of the race. And where is he going to come out? Just outside the points. Danny had such a good first stint, had a really good stint on the mediums early on, and that should work out from now. He's got much fresher tyres than most of these guys, and then this is Burnout with RS Falcon through the middle sector. That's just a little bit too optimistic from Burnout, I think. RS Falcon is entitled to take that line through the corner. It appeared to me that he was fully ahead, and then this is where we will really be able to see from RS Falcon's point of view. Yeah, he leaves plenty of space on his inside. I think Burnout was just a little bit too optimistic, although RS Falcon, I think he might have waited there. He appeared to be slowing down a little bit, but Jason now up into P5 under pressure from the Sauber. So surprised we could be getting a top 5 finish here if he can get this one right into turn 14. Down the inside of Jason, who's trying to get a cutback. He's worked that very nicely, but it appears, surprised me, he's now up into P5. What a drive from the Sauber.
Yeah, very good drive, actually. He's definitely surprised me, no doubt about that. But Jason is actually going to mount an attack back down the start-finish straight into turn number 1 with the shorter of the 2 DRS zones. He'll have to do it around the outside at the very long turn number 1 and turn number 2, and unsurprisingly, the Sauber does appear to have the measure of him with that inside line. It's just such a long corner. It's even, it's like a 270-degree corner. It's even more than a hairpin. So, unsurprisingly, the inside line is generally the one that you want. Not always the case, of course, but the Sauber making good use of that, and actually already seeming to pull a little bit of a gap to the Renault as it stands, but into the top 5 for Suphrize Meh. So yeah, he's definitely on for a good result as it stands right now into the final quarter of this race, and it is getting very heated for the battle for P10. TRL Martin, though, is coming under attack now from the Flying Finn, getting very close, definitely within DRS range as they cross the detection line just back there through turn number 12 and come onto the very long back straight here, and it does appear that the Red Bull actually has the measure of the Mercedes coming out of that final corner before coming onto the straight. Stu doing a little bit of weaving, Danny doing a little bit of weaving. He decides in the end to just stay behind the Force India, probably just wants to pick up that DRS there. I think Danny could find himself in a position to make 2 overtakes here, much like TSR Cupid did earlier in the race. Let's see if he can get it all right. He's going to have to tuck into this slipstream, activate the DRS, hope that he can overtake Stu before Stu can overtake TRL Williams, but it doesn't look like any of these guys really have the straight line speed. We are going to be side by side, though, actually, between the Haas and the Force India. Inside line for Danny M7. Stu carrying a little bit more speed, and with the better exit is going to hold on to that position. AOR Reversal in the other Red Bull down in P8. It's not been the best start to Reversal season, given the types of results that we were used to seeing from him last season, but consistency wasn't exactly his strong point in Season 12, so hopefully we'll see a return to form for Reversal, but in the meanwhile, that battle for second is getting very, very close, but Martin seems to be just about holding him off, and actually Jason97 still sticking with that Sauber.
Yeah, but the Sauber's disconnected. Oh, the other Sauber's disconnected. It surprised me. And that is absolutely gutting for the Sauber driver, on for potentially a top 4 finish. And now his AI car is the one that is driving around.
Oh, he's back.
Has rejoined, which is a good sign. He'll be able to take control of his car. It's only cost him 1 position and a small amount of time. So not ideal, but he is able to carry on now. We have Martin versus the Flying Finn, the top 2 in the championship, possibly the 2 favourites for this championship, fighting out for second place in this race. Cupid is a little bit too far down the road, but Flying Finn swooping to the inside. What a move that is, selling Martin the dummy on the straight, and it appears he's able to get that one done fairly nicely. Martin unable to put up much opposition due to how strong the DRS and slipstream effect is here, but he's going to be able to come back as he into turn 1, putting it up into Rich Mix, utilising the DRS. The Flying Finn going defensive into turn 1. Martin going to the outside for turn 1, trying to launch it around the outside of the Mercedes, but he's just so much later on the brakes. Is the cutback line going to work for Martin, though, on the inside for turn 2? Surely he can't make this one work. The Flying Finn on the inside for turn 3, and he's managed to squeeze out the Red Bull driver just about, but I have a feeling this battle could go on to the end of the race. What a section that was. Incredible battling from these two, and Martin's gone for it again into turn 6. An almighty dive bomb from the Red Bull. Is the reverse of what we saw in Bahrain, with the Flying Finn going for the dive on the final lap, and now the Flying Finn's going to try and hang it down the inside of TRL Martin. This is incredible. Through the middle sector, they're still going side by side, and the Flying Finn, has he managed to get that one done? No, he hasn't. Martin is still on the outside. This is just something else. The Flying Finn, though, has managed to get it done on the inside, and wow, this is incredible.
And crucially, though, the Flying Finn took the position just before the DRS detection line, which is there as they go over it now. So Martin will have the DRS down this very long back straight as they come around turn 13 now. Flying Finn moves very far over to the right-hand side, trying to break that slipstream as much as he possibly can. Martin has a quick look at his tires just to make sure everything is okay and is going to make it to the end. And with that slipstream and with that DRS and with that rich mix, he is able to pull alongside of the Mercedes. He's going to have to do it around the outside of the hairpin, though. Flying Finn appears to have the measure of him, and he does indeed, holds him off for right now. But I think we're going to see another possible attempt here into turn number 1 as they come to the end of lap number 23. Just 5 laps remaining in this Chinese Grand Prix, and I don't think he's got the exit speed. The DRS is open now. Stu, on the other hand, no, he's not going to have any sort of attempt on TRL Williams. The Ferrari does go very wide into that hairpin, though. That's going to put Stu alongside him at the exit, but not quite alongside as they head into the final corner, back on board with the battle for second position. Again, Cupid is just gone in all of this, and this is really just playing into his hand. As long as no technical difficulties or touch wood or anything like that happens, he should be okay. AOR Reversal possibly with a little bit of a touch there with TRL Hamilton, and I'm not sure if Hamilton went off the circuit there or not. I'm having a hard time seeing him.
A long way.
Yeah, I thought that was the case, but the Sauber of Suphrize Meh has again regained control of his car after that disconnect earlier in the race and does find himself once again on the back of Jason 97 F1 and heading through the very high speed turn 8 and into the double left-handers of 9 and 10 and coming up to the DRS zone as well. Jason on those super soft tires, worth pointing out, while Suphrize Meh on the mediums. What's that?
I think that's Suphrize Meh's game going a little bit funky after a rejoin session. The game tends to do that a little bit. I believe they are both on the medium tyres. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what they're both on. And now this battle for second place rages ever stronger. Martin now going into turn 14. He goes for a lunge, but he's not quite close enough. The flying fin unbelievably late on the brakes. But Suphrize Meh now is able to breeze past Jason 97 F1, who is on the mediums. Suphrize Meh's game appears to be telling him some strange lies about what is going on, but Suphrize Meh moves back up into P4, and what a result this is going to be for the Sauber. Everything has been against him with that disconnect, but he's driven through it, and it looks like it's going to be a very strong result for him. And Stu and TRL Williams fighting over 9th place now. Stu's first race back as a full-time driver in the league, and he is hoping to pick up a couple of points to mark the occasion as TRL Williams runs a little bit wide. He appears to have carried more speed though, and Danny is at the back of this battle on what I believe are the freshest tyres, so Danny could be one to watch, but potentially getting P9 at the end of this race as Stu is getting very close to the Ferrari through turn 1, trying to open up turn 2 as much as possible, take a late apex, then clip turn 3 very nicely, staying in second gear actually for the Force India. The Ferrari's run very wide, but that's going to give him much better exit speed, and he's able to carry that into turn 6, but it's very close between all three of these guys. Stu going defensive, and Danny has not been boxed in actually. The Ferrari's moved to the inside and boxed in the Force India instead, but they have all maintained position as Danny does some gymkhana on the exit. He has pretty strong tyres at this point. They are going to comfortably get to the end, and he can absolutely abuse them, and they should be able to get to the end. Whatever he does to those tyres, we assume he's going to be fine to the end of this race as Stu's getting close to TRL Williams on through the middle sector. But now back to this battle for second place again. Martin trying to make a move into turn 14 this time. He is much closer. He's almost alongside before we even get to the braking zone. Down to first gear, clipping the apex beautifully, but the flying fin, what about that cutback? And he's going to have the outside for the final corner. He lets off actually. I believe he's going to have the DRS now. He is. Very tactical stuff from the Mercedes driver, and he's able to breeze past back into turn 1. That was a defensive masterclass from the flying fin, and he is now going to pick up P2 onto lap 26 as this battle for P9 is still going on. And then Stu trying to do a flying fin and cut back through turn 14, and Danny is unable to get the traction out there to make a move. But a lot of battles raging right until the end of this race.
And I'm seeing a lot of fuel management as well. Like Danny M7 there with 0.15 laps of spare fuel is one of the people with more... Oh no! Big contact between Danny and Stu into turn 1 at the start of lap number 26. That's put the Force India into the barrier, and he has lost the wheel, and he is out of this race. Yellow flags into turn number 1 for AOR Raikkonen as he does move up into P11 now, just outside of the points, but with pretty old tires. Not sure what he can do about that one. So here's what it looked like on board with Stu, as it looked like Danny was just moved over a little bit to the right. I don't know. I think that one's a racing incident. It's just it's all happening so fast. As you can see, Danny with that DRS and using the rich mix down the start-finish straight, nearly 200 miles an hour. He just moves the steering wheel the smallest amount, and you just see the Force India spearing off into the barriers at the exit of turn number 1. And yeah, that is very, very unfortunate. But yeah, I think that one was just a racing incident. But we'll see what happens with that one. The flying fin now starts the penultimate lap of this race, unsurprisingly, with TRL Martin directly behind him, just tucked in underneath behind the gearbox of this Mercedes. Very, very close. He's not going to be able to get launch an attack here into the turn 6 hairpin, and I say that, and he might surprise me. No, he doesn't. So Martin stays behind. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. You mentioned earlier, Ali, how the Flying Finn almost backing off, heading into that final corner to get the DRS. It's going to be very strategic about where they are. Do they want to be leading when they start the final lap? Do they want to be behind when they start the final lap? It's going to be it's almost a game of chess at 200 miles an hour as Danny M7 finally might get to go around TRL Williams here at the hairpin. Yeah, with those fresher tires again. Danny stopping for those mediums on lap 18, so these are only 9 laps old, so yeah, he can really push to his heart's content. But here we go in the battle for P2, the Flying Finn, holding on to that position for the meantime, and crucially, I do think they actually are closing in on Cupid. There's not going to be enough laps left in this race for them to do anything about it, but TRL Martin definitely did not have the... Oh gosh, getting very close to the back end of that Mercedes into the braking zone for that hairpin. Reversal is already past the Haas even before the DRS activation line. In fact, the Haas is going to sneak in and grab a little bit of slipstream, which actually seems to be working out pretty well for him. He almost grabs the inside line. Oh, the Red Bull cuts across on him. But yeah, I think that was Reversal's line to take. The Haas barely alongside at all. Oh, and AOR Raikkonen's day goes from bad to worse. His rear left is at 85%, and at this point, I imagine he wouldn't mind if he got lapped and would just do one fewer lap. So it's an unfortunate day for the Williams driver, but final lap of this race, TRL Martin, who could really use these points. Again, he is 3 points behind in the championship. The Flying Finn currently leads 43 points to TRL Martin's 40. The Cupid up at the front is going to get an enormous amount of points for his championship, but really it's all about those two guys battling for second position. Reversal coming under attack once again from the Killer Whale up the inside of turn number 6. Reversal can't quite come back at him. He tried the switchback, but it's not going to work for him. He'll have a couple of opportunities to try and get that position back, but he is running out of time if he wants to get those couple of extra points through turn number 13 for Cupid. He's coming towards the end of his race, and it looks like it's going to be a fairly easy win for him, but this is the battle to watch, the battle for P2 as the Flying Finn comes out of the final corner. TRL Martin is going to be way too far back to do anything, and it looks like the Flying Finn is going to take second position, barring any sort of horrific accident heading into the hairpin here. But no, it looks all very under control for the Mercedes driver. He does cover off that inside line just in case TRL Martin was thinking about having any sort of late lunge for that position on this final lap, but Cupid picks up the win for round number 3 of season 13. The Flying Finn comes home in second position. TRL Martin in third. Reversal to try and get that 6th place position. It would be really great for Red Bull if they could get 3rd and 6th here, and it does look like he's got the measure of Killer Whale up the inside of that hairpin, and he is going to come home in P6. It's a very short run to the line, so I imagine even though he's got it all under control. It did say P7 there, though, so we'll have to see if there's any sort of penalties, but holy cow, what a race that was, Ali.
Yeah, a lot of battling throughout the field, and what a drive from Cupid. We didn't see him too much at the end of the race because he was just simply so far ahead of that battle for second place, and this is Falcon. Does he manage to save this one? No, he doesn't. That is the end of his race in dramatic fashion. That is an enormous collision, and this is TRL Williams trying to nab that final point off of the Haas of Danny M7. Well, this is for 9th place, actually, into the final corner, and he cannot quite do it. His tyres are absolutely spent, and this is Raikkonen for the second race in a row, finishing with an incredible amount of tyre wear. How do you torch your tyres so much to get them to 90%? And they clearly don't agree with the torture that they've had in this race and decide to launch him into the wall. But yeah, what a race that was. A lot of action throughout, and in the end, it was a Mercedes 1-2 for the first time this season, and it was the 3rd different winner in the first 3 races. TSR Cupid took the win in Shanghai, with the Flying Finn coming home in 2nd place. TRL Martin in 3rd. Surprised me, an incredibly strong 4th place. Jason 97 F1, the sole Renault in 5th with Killer Whale. 3rd on the grid. He might be slightly disappointed with 6th, but that's still a strong points haul for him. Cyril Hamilton in 7th. AOR Reversal in 8th. Danny M7 in 9th, and TRL Williams rounding out the top 10 with a point for Ferrari, which is good to see, building on their success in Bahrain.
It's unfortunate, the penalty that Reversal picked up, because it did lose him 2 positions. Ooh. He was P6, but yeah, dropped down to P8 because that battling was so close between those guys. In fact, not a lot of penalties. We've seen a lot of penalties at some races, but this one wasn't too bad. A 3-second time penalty for the other Sauber of CR63 and one for Raikkonen, who ended up not finishing in the end. So 3 seconds added onto a DNF doesn't make too much of a difference. So I'm really anxious to see what this is going to do to the championship. Yeah, Cupid shoots up into third position, overhauling Jason97 F1. He's now 6 points ahead, still 15 points off of Martin, but that battle at the top between the Flying Finn and TRL Martin is still very close. That 3-point gap here in China is only enough to bring the gap up to 6 points total between those two leaders, and in fact TSR Cupid is less than a race win away from the Flying Finn. So a bad day for Finn and Martin and a good day for Cupid at the next race. Could easily see these things get flipped upside down on their heads, but the two Renaults in 4th and 5th, have to say, looking very good for them. Some movement towards the bottom of the table. AOR Reversal up into 13th position after scoring some points. TRL Williams, after scoring his point, does move up into 15th, which means just 7 drivers still yet to score in the championship so far. And yeah, that's a pretty dominating 42-point gap between Mercedes and Red Bull. But Renault not far off in 3rd with 52.
Yeah, it's looking strong for Renault, despite only have one finisher in this race. Then McLaren Honda in 4th, quite a long way off. It looks like we're going to have a fairly close battle for 4th, as you can see all the way down to the bottom of the table. Any one of those teams with a good performance could move all the way up into 4th place. So I think the constructors maybe at the top is already sorted, with Cupid and the Flying Finn looking incredibly strong, but it is still all to play for in the drivers going into Spain.
Yep, it is a circuit we know all too well because of winter testing and all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to be heading to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, or however Will Buxton said it hilariously the other weekend. But yeah, make sure you guys join us next time. That's going to do it for the Chinese Grand Prix. I am Justin. Thank you, Ali, for joining me as always.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. What a race we saw today, and hopefully we'll see more of the same in Spain. another good track with a lot of overtaking opportunities, so we'll have to wait and see what we see next week.
Yep, it should be a good one. Thank you guys, as always, for watching, and we'll see you next time for round 4 of Season 13 from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Damn it, Justin, you should have said Barcelona.
Barcelona!